Well, I noticed something I've misplayed before, but here we are at the Battle of Chaeronea. I'll mention what I misplayed before. Back in scenario 1 here for Kadesh, I treated this terrain as rough. It's not a huge deal here. But rough terrain's not particularly defensible. It's actually woods, which gave the defender a bonus, but causes some problems. It disorders non-light units, and it gives an additional missile defense. So it's actually not necessarily, wouldn't have, a light unit went into it, and it wouldn't have been a bad situation there. I don't know how much of an effect it had. These, my brain does not really remember these battles very well. They're not sticking in my head at all. They're very, they're so small that the story just isn't staying very well. And they are very short, by the way. I'm taking a long time to produce them. That's got more to do with heaviness of workload than anything else. Okay, and other issues perhaps. But those are actually woods from what I can tell. Now they don't look like it to me. They look like they look like this color. But in this scenario, it claims ignore all woods. And well, that's the only thing it can be, so I guess they're woods. It's kind of hard to tell, but it means that there are no rough in this game. Maybe in other games in the system or something. I don't know. Anyway, we got two solid lines here facing each other. The Macedonians and what Theban alliance, essentially. Some kind of crappy leaders for Thebes, the same as Sparta had, and slightly better for the Macedonians. I guess this is supposed to be Alexander, who knows. Mix of forces, nice heavy phalanx over here, a little bit, actually looks like, no, there's more Macedonian phalanx than the Greek city-states. We got some heavy cav. There were special rules with heavy cav. I gotta remind myself of those. Advancing type is a non-light cavalry. It can do that second melee. I think that's the thing that I'm thinking of here, but only if it has a leader with it. So I've got to kind of try to remember that this time, right? Alright, we'll start this one off. Alright, so as we kick things off, the Macedonians have their maximum number of little command chits, 6 of them. Whereas the Greeks only get 4. They did win the initiative, though. And the question is the initiative worth anything here? I mean, really. I do not see a reason to bid for it. On the other hand, I don't see a terrible reason that I'm going to need 6 command chits. But who knows? A unit of mine might get shot and I can rally it or something. I'm not sure. One of the problems with this system is if you pass, you hand the opportunity to the other player to end the turn. So you kind of have to spend a command chit to prevent, to delay effectively. Let's say the Greeks decide to hand things off, to punt, and allow the Macedonians to go. Well, if the Macedonians don't spend a chit, then the Greeks can say, well, I don't want to spend one either, and there's the turn. And the Macedonians probably think they can win this game. They have advantages. They have the leadership advantage. They probably have the troop advantages. I don't think these are terribly balanced scenarios, more than maybe they historically should be. But I think the Macedonians are going to have the overall edge in this one, just looking at what there is on the board. But if so therefore the Macedonians kind of want to win this sucker. Now, and I'm kind of surprised that nobody gets a victory point mark, that they don't give one to the Thebans just to say, hey, this is your balancing factor. So what the Macedonians can do is they can fire one of these off and do a single little thing, like maybe fire a missile or a set of missiles or whatever, or move a unit on the flank to engage, but leave the mass of their forces back. So they can play little games and try to force the Greeks to do something. Of course, the Greeks may be willing to just sit back and hold off, and try to play it out for time as well. Let's see. So the Macedonians kind of opted for an all-out charge. They ended up wasting a point. Both sides kind of fired some missile fire first, but then when it came down to it, it was, well, I either got to launch everything or come in kind of piecemeal and maybe cause a problem that way. I accidentally moved into these woods, then I noticed cause an effect to anything that's not a light. No biggie. I can always rally it, I guess. But the Macedonians did not close with this. They were planning on getting closer, but they chose not to. And the Greeks did not choose either. So now, here's one of the problems. Over along this line, you can see the Macedonians have the ability to attack, whereas the Greeks don't. Now, the Greeks get the first shot. They have some potential advantages. For example, here they could launch an attack with these who are anti-cav and be able to do a pretty potent hit on that, perhaps. But alternatively, maybe they want to get the first strike in here. I think they're going to go against the cav. I think it was a mistake. Well, there really isn't much option, right? These guys had the initiative, so they're going to get the first swing, and that's basically what it comes down to. Maybe the Macedonians shouldn't have charged is really the issue. Well, it was pretty bloody. You can see there's a big hole in the Macedonian line here, a phalanx and actually a heavy cav gone. Because the medium infantry went too, the points are equal now in terms of losses, at least. Gotta figure out where everything goes. If I don't get it close, I have some trouble setting up the next one. The phalanx broke through here, but in other places you don't see advances. For example, the Greeks did not advance here, but a lot of the units. So it looks like it's really bad for the Macedonians, but maybe it's not so bad because they do have a number of Greek units that got knocked kind of for a loop there. That puts us to the end. Push that forward, and we remove our leaders from the map. And these counters are, I don't know, they're matte, but the map is so slippery. Whoa, I forgot. Took this off, and I wonder where he was. He goes J7 back here. The third leader. Alrighty. Well, let's see what the next turn brings. Macedonians again get the advantage here with an extra chip, 5-4, but this time they got the initiative. Again, no bid to try to oust them from it. Leaders placed. The Greeks have pretty good options on leaders. The Macedonians, at least they have a lot of leaders, but they're kind of set up where they can command at most 2 units, and some of them are pretty questionable. Like here, do you really want to move this? This probably wants to fire. Here I got a pair of guys who want to fire. They'll probably open things up with that. No, there's no real danger to them. So maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, they're seeing kind of a breakthrough towards the camp there, which is kind of risky, and I got to worry about that. Ah, man, I've been being too restrictive on my orders here. You define a formation as just a single set of units. I've been kind of worried about their facing, which is important with movement orders, but it's not important with, say, rally orders, and that's what I want to expend right now. I want to fire off a rally order. Saw some bow fire here, but I want to shoot a rally order to get this, and then I can also get these two, and that's kind of a cool little time waster for the Greeks. It's really one of the problems I have with a sparse game. You know, you make a little mistake in a big game, and it's probably not that huge an issue. But in something as sparse as this, and if you're as prone to mistakes as I am, misinterpreting a rule, whatever, hey, it probably doesn't make that big a difference, but I don't know, it just feels like it's a bigger deal to screw something like that up. Alright, and before the combat actually launches, I pulled the yellow counters off, of course. See, the reds have, the Greeks have pushed in a little closer here. Now, these guys moved forward rather than rally. I was considering, I left them behind to rally them, but with this phalanx moving up against here, I can move them in here because this unit has to attack here if it's going to attack. That allows me to put this phalanx in place where I could attack either of these two. I've got to kind of decide. I probably want to hit the big guy though, get that big bonus from hitting from the rear. Likewise, we got to hit from the rear here. I've got to worry about, which may be I want to attack here first. I'm going to have the initiative, so I have to decide which one of these attacks is so important. There's no trumping in. It would be kind of cool if you could keep command points and use them to like kind of trump in and get more attacks before your enemy does, because you kind of want to get those shots off first. Okay, as we move into turn 3, what we see here is just tremendous bloodletting going along here. In fact, this is what's been lost. Now, the position does not look great for the Macedonians, but they're causing so much damage to those damaged Greek units, and they have this open route to the command post or camp. There's only 4 hits left on the Greeks. There's 8 left for the Macedonians, and that's largely because this battle started with a 6-point bonus to what the Macedonians can take. Their army's more robust. So even though they've got kind of a good position here, and this guy managed to run past him by hitting the unit in front of him and moving forward, negating any attempt, any possibility of an attack there. This has got to be a tough scenario for the Greeks to win. The Macedonians just have so many advantages here that I don't know. But anyway, we'll go to turn 3. Alright, a quick 6-4 disparity in favor of the Macedonians. And we ended up in a bit of a bidding war here. The Macedonians spent 3, and the Greeks, obviously spent 2 to switch the initiative over to the Macedonians. They really won it, largely because there's a missile unit here which could kill off a phalanx if they don't rally that. That's basically what they're looking at. They may put a leader here and try to rally both of these at once, because they're a little low on ships. They had so many, but now they only have 3. They need to rally this. That's 4 units already, and they'd like to do another thing. So putting leaders here and here, and maybe, I don't know, try to take out the command, the camper, fight this phalanx or something. Who knows? Most of the turn was taken up on rallies. You can see the Macedonians were very lucky, actually. They got all theirs. They rolled for both of these. The Greeks marched in to attack this in the rear. The Macedonians, knowing they go first, charged up with this one instead, so that they can hit it in the rear instead of, say, swinging around to defend themselves. They see that they have the advantage there. But by giving that attack, then they give the initiative over here for whatever the Greeks want. At the end of the round, the Greeks are down 2 more points. The light cav took it. This did not work out terribly well, but it did pin the unit. And putting a little red marker on it, of course. That's one of the advantages of attacking, is that you knock out the other guy's capacity to attack. We saw an attack from the woods here not be effective, even though it was at a bonus. And the Greeks didn't even attack with this because it's at equal odds. You don't want to do that particularly. They want to attack with this, or did before, to prevent this from attacking them, but this had already been hit by the unit here. Now that's the unit that got wiped out, actually. It failed in its attack, the massive failure. And that pushes us to turn 4. Equal chits this time, but the Macedonians got the initiative. They were forced to defend it with 2 chips. The reason that the Greeks wanted to pay it is to prevent this thing from getting shot up by these. But it's clear that the Macedonians could keep spending. But here's the thing. It's better nothing happens than I get shot. So I'll bid another one. And at this point, the Macedonians are beginning to say, I want to be able to do something this turn, so they're going to let it go. That leaves only 1 action for the Greeks, but it does give the it gives the Macedonians 2. But the Greeks are going to be able to quickly fire this off and get this thing into better shape. We'll see if that was a good choice. Oh, well, before I do that, I got to place my leaders. How about that? Everything performed were rallying actions, actually. We knew what the Greeks were doing, the Macedonians rallied the unit behind it with the hope to attack. Now, they could have fired their missiles, but these phalanxes, well, I got them covered all. They all have a +2 on their front, better formed side for missile defense. That makes it really tough. By doing the combined fire, I could conceivably roll one die at a +1, which would give me some chance, but it just doesn't seem worth that risk when I can upgrade some units, and I still actually have units that I'd like to upgrade. Question here is what the Greeks are going to do with their initiative. They spent their command points in such a way, yeah, for bidding for initiative, they got to save this unit, but this guy's in a lot of trouble, and they may actually attack into these woods at a disadvantage to try to get away from this guy. Their other option, of course, is attacking with the cav here to avoid the penalty for that. They can probably hold on that, though. They've got this rear attack here. They've got a lot of different options to make. I got to decide which one to do. Okay, as we move into turn 5, there was a bit of bloodletting here, and it's enough to have driven the Greeks so that they're in panic mode. That means early next turn we're going to see all the Greek units flip, and now we're in that weird sort of position where the Macedonians can start making them run off the field. We're kind of near the end here. Attacks, well, this was probably the most interesting. The Greeks attacked the back of this. They did not kill it. Then they got attacked in the back, did not kill it. This tried at pretty much even, +1 to the die roll if they finished this off. Just got an engaged result, I think, or maybe even a bad result. Doesn't really make much difference. Elsewhere, the phalanx was the big thing. That's what got killed, and this phalanx swacked that again. Alright, well, it's panic check time. Let's pull the leaders off the map. And let's just jump in and do that. Everything panics, and the Macedonians are going to get their point for that. I don't know if the camp panics. I don't think I did that last time, but they get this little marker. Ooh, they get the purple one. To indicate the victory point. Let me make sure that the camp does panic. The die roll went in favor of the Macedonians for chips. They got 5 chips to only 3 for the Greeks. But the Greeks got the initiative. Now, the Macedonians managed to pay for that initiative, but now they only have 1 point left. And they're going to spend that point on the panic move. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay, more dead. He theoretically gets a red chip, but everybody's going to be out of command after this. I don't think he can run. I think he's destroyed. I'm not going to look it up. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Alright, well, that's the end of this turn. Now we make another die roll to see if the game ends here. Because, yep, game ends. So now we quickly count points. I got 1 point for the enemy panicking. They've got only 3 4 strength points. I got more than twice that, so I get a 2-point victory. That's the fairly decent level of victory. It's not the optimal, but still. Given the number of mistakes that I made with the Macedonians, they got to be pretty happy to have gotten that significant a victory. I think this is a particularly unbalanced scenario. I said that before, but anyway, our next one here is Granicus, which probably should be pretty unbalanced too. Alright. Oh, shit. Okay, so you're supposed to ignore the woods for both of these scenarios, and I ended up not doing so for this one. They caused problems more than anything, probably, but yeah, it's hard for me to say, oh yeah, that terrain's not there. My brain doesn't work that way, really. Alright, up this goes.